Whoa, what is good, boys? I'm gonna bring us to the one trade that I took today. I got stopped out pretty fast. I thought this setup was pretty much textbook, and this should be a pretty fast recap. But I think only issue we had today was execution. I don't even really think there was an issue. I'm completely fine taking this loss. Same thing as yesterday. If you watched that recap, if I even posted that, keep it on it. All right, so right into today. Here's what we're looking at going into the new session, right? So we're pretty much obviously bearish, I would say. I think everyone's going to agree today's a bearish day on the bigger time frame, right? We had ran lower, and now we're kind of making this consolidation zone, which, and here's what I'm expecting to see in accumulation, manipulation, distribution, AMD model, right? So we distribute, right? Now I'm looking for us to accumulate and then manipulate those highs back into this big imbalance, and then distribute lower to continue this next leg right here, right? So what we see overnight is yesterday kind of takes this high. Overnight, we fall back inside the range, and now Asia kind of sits here, consolidates, does nothing. London runs a little bit lower, and we end up leaving this low intact from yesterday, not taking this. And then we open the market around consolidation within this distribution right here. So we're back into right here near midnight open. We're back into where we see this fair value gap, this order block, all this, right? We're now expecting to see this distribution low, right? So going into market open, what am I looking at, right? Bias is pretty solid. Bias is pretty simple. We open around here, right? So for me to take the setup, I want to see market manipulate these highs and then go lower. So what do? On open, we end up manipulating super shallow, and then we end up taking the lows on ES, right? So our 930 manipulation, I want to see us go higher and then go lower. We end up going lower then higher, right? So this is potentially giving us a little bit of a bullish bias. If you took longs today on open, something like this, I still completely honestly don't like this trade. But I mean, you can bag like a 1-to-1, I guess, off this. Like, if that's what you're down for, I just don't like it. I didn't think it was pretty clean. We really got only one small first presented inversion right here at 935. But even then, like, I'm still not very sold on a bullish bias because everything else is bearish, right? But what the market ends up doing is placing that SMT. So many people look at that as a reason for us to now go long on the bigger time frame. Yes, but watch how we're only going long until that point up there, right? But once we take this point, once we come to that point that we want to reject, we start running lower. What is the point we want to reject? It's pretty clear today that this was midnight open, right? We say we came twice here. We placed an SMT on NQ right at midnight open. How do we know that's the point though? We don't. And instead, we use this as our point to reject, right? Because this was simple 15-minute highs, right? Looking very clean within the imbalance. And then as well, this was within London session, equilibrium of the full range. This is pretty clean. Like, this is where I want to see get hit, and then we can end up falling back into the range, right? Reason I'm still bearish is because this bigger time frame is bearish, right? Even though we have this SMT and this push higher, I'm still bearish, and I know that because of bigger time frame being bearish and the way the internal price action is generating with no strong fair value gaps up in this entire leg until we get up here, that's showing me that I want to look for bearish prices to see, because the market will, if it's bearish, right, on the bigger time frame, right, we're going to be placing in high resistant moves to the upside and then low resistance move lower. So I'm looking to catch that low resistance move lower to run all this liquidity right here. So what do I end up doing? Market right around 950, we end up pumping up, taking this high right here, and then making a pretty clean inversion with the change in the state. Only thing that we don't get on this setup is NQ doesn't make a change in the state, but with the volume, this is where I decided that I wanted to be a little bit more risk on, because I did like the setup and I thought we even had potential to run to this low. So this would have been an absolute banger if I could have got involved today. Good risk, good positioning, good everything. If this setup plays, I'm making way more than I'm going to lose by just maybe losing this small setup because my read wasn't perfect. But looking into it, this is where, like, at this point, once we see this, I want to see this go fast, right? So the way I'm managing this is I want to see this just completely just run lower. And once I get one nice distribution lower, I'm probably going to put stop to break even and be on a risk-free lottery ticket to maybe see to these lows, right? That would have been super clean. And if we look what happens, we get stopped out, and right around 10 a.m., I think this is why we got stopped out, is because that 4-hour candle, right? We want to open, high, low, close, right? So I think we want to place in the high first before then going. But after that manipulation gets happened, it kind of presents another opportunity here, which I wasn't too keen on taking. I would have probably taken something like this, maybe stop here at the highest and then let this go on. This ends up playing, which shows me that even among this choppy price action right here, which shows me that the setup's kind of, it's not like my fault, like I did anything big time wrong. It's just that today's action was choppy, right? So if my direction and my setup ends up playing, but I just get stopped out because of some type of position management or positioning errors in how I'm going, it wasn't even really an error because it was aligned with the system, right? But if it's not right, I'm gonna get stopped out, and that's just kind of how the game goes, right? So overall, today is like I'm completely fine with this loss. I want to talk about how like this is why people are unprofitable because they will take losses like this, right? They'll take this loss and they'll be like, okay, something must be wrong. What did I do? And I did this so many times, bro. They'll make a rule and they'll be like, okay, I need to have a clear stop rate before I take every single short setup. So now they'll wait for a clear stop rate, right? And because of that, they're going to take a W maybe today. Maybe they won't take this L yesterday because there was no clean stop rate. But then they're going to miss out on trades like Monday, where it's right here, where we have a really clean short, but there was no clean stop rate and the price just ran, right? So there's no issue. By the way, this is the exact same trade that we took today. It was just it just ended up playing, right? Because the draw on liquidity was right. So it's telling me your model is profitable over time. You just need to continue using it and not change it, bro. So yeah, they won't take this short now because they don't have a stop rate. They won't take this because there's no stop rate. And they're going to end up gatekeeping themselves way more W's simply because they can't handle a few statistical losses. Guys, these losses need to happen. It's the reason that we can make money long term is because I'm taking small L's like this, bro. That's how the game works, y'all. That's how the game works. So at the end of the day, looking at this, I'm literally taking away that I am getting much better at detaching from losses and following the system because I have confidence and trust that my system is going to deliver me results over time. I'm letting time do the heavy lifting for me, and because of that, I don't care about today's loss because this would have been a money printer and everyone would have been like, oh my gosh, how'd you take that? How'd you know? Understand your winners are always going to look like they're crazy ass traders. But in reality, they're just the same. They're just people that are taking the same exact setup over and over and over. And whenever it banks, it looks crazy because the setup is consistently printing. You know what I'm saying? But every time I lose this, they might take an air ball and be like, bro, what'd you do? You're so stupid. You're so bad at trading. Bro, no, it's not how it works. You guys have to understand statistical trading and just submit to the system. So, end of the day, I'm not really taking much away from today except just submitting and not really caring. Whole Discord was like, dead ass, like, everyone had a short bias. Everyone was like bunged on today's trade and yesterday's trade. So I really don't care. Like, this is just the market giving us some backlash before we end up printing some more later in the month, maybe next month too. So that for now, let you guys go. Hope you guys learned a little bit of something from this video. Hope I can open your guys' eyes onto the way that you really have to be viewing the markets if we want this to work long term. And yeah, so that for now, let you guys go and peace out.